This episode focuses on the revival of Solomon Grundy, Shayra's old friend who fought by her side in a battle against Iqbaltu, but later passed due to sustained fatal wounds. The Justice League gave him a proper burial deep in a swamp. One night, 3 students dressed in black robes resembling those of the monks disturb his resting place when they attempt to conjure something that will give them the power to stand against their bullies. But the ritual instead summons Solomon Grundy, who now becomes a zombie with no memory of his past. After the ritual, the students decide to part ways when they realize that they have not gained any power and assign one among them to do the cleanup. Suddenly, there is a violent knock on the door. Before the student can open it, a huge pale hand pierces through the door and grabs him by his head. In Fate's tower, Aquaman plays chess against Shayra Hall while Amazo watches. Aquaman throws the chess table and expresses his disgust when Shayra shows a lack of interest in playing. She walks away and tells him to join the club. Fate appears, and Aquaman complains about Shayra's behavior and says she is not the same as the fierce warrior Shayra used to be. Fate defends her and implies that Shayra has a hard time dealing with the Thanagarian invasion and quitting the League. Fate suddenly senses something and excuses himself before teleporting to a graveyard where he discovers that Grundy's grave has been opened from the inside. Amazo then challenges Aquaman to a game. At a garden in the other dimension, Shayra appears out of the portal and talks to Inza, Fate's wife. She confides about how Aquaman thinks, and Inza assures her that she will know what to do when the time is right. The scene cuts to a fashion show where Jon Stewart meets his girlfriend, Vixen, backstage after her part in the show. Jon says their date was cancelled due to an urgent matter concerning the League. On their way, Green Lantern explains that Solomon Grundy is back. Before arriving at the sighting location, a police car suddenly flies past them, and Green Lantern lands it to safety. A loud roar resounds throughout the place. It was Grundy. He lifts a bus and throws it right at them. Green Lantern saves the bus before it hits the nearby building. Vixen, using the life force of an elephant, charges toward Grundy. However, she is no match for the new strength Grundy has. Green Lantern traps Grundy in a force field, but Grundy breaks out of it and sends him flying away unconscious. Vixen comes and tries to wake him up. Grundy is about to attack them from behind when Superman arrives and punches him through several vehicles. Superman, showing the confidence that he is stronger, tries to communicate with Grundy and attacks Grundy with a punch. Grundy blocks his attack using one hand and brings him onto his knees, struggling. Amazo and Aquaman are about to start another game when Fate appears and shows them the situation with Grundy. The League members are clearly weaker than Grundy and are struggling to fight. Fate mentions that Grundy has been awakened through chaos magic, which causes him to carry nothing but rage and allows him to become more powerful. Shayra insists on helping Grundy as her old friend before the League offed him out. Fate then gives the mace back to her. The League cannot stop Grundy as he continues to bash each one of them from building to building. He punches Superman and sends him flying onto a bridge which destroys its support. When the bridge is about to collapse, Aquaman emerges from the ocean on board a giant octopus. The octopus wraps its tentacles around the support, preventing the bridge from collapsing. However, one car almost fell over the edge, but Shayra dives in and saves the passengers. Shayra meets Green Lantern and Superman, who just went up after being catapulted into the ocean. Superman, Fate, and Amazo will be the ones to fight Grundy, but Shayra asks them to let her talk to Grundy in hopes that he will listen to her. Unfortunately, Grundy cannot recognize her and slams her onto a wall. The other League members attack, then Amazo says he will end it now. Amazo releases his power onto Grundy, but Grundy only absorbs it. He teleports a few light years away when he realizes his presence might be too dangerous. The League members take turns in fighting Grundy, but they cannot stop him. Shayra hits Grundy with her mace, and a fatal blow sends Grundy down the sewers. They discover that her weapon is the only thing that can hurt Grundy. Shayra painfully asks if her sole purpose is to hurt her friend. Jon, concerned about Shayra's feelings, offers to do it instead, but Shayra insists. Shayra flies down the sewer with her mace illuminating the dark passages. She finds Grundy sitting on one side. She can see on his face that he is struggling. She approaches Grundy and tells him she knows what he wants. She instructs him to close his eyes. Grundy, having recognized his old friend, follows and bows his head. Shayra brings her mace over Grundy's head, and the scene shifts up top, where Jon paces back and forth, anxious that something terrible might have happened. Superman decides to go in when Shayra flies out and tells them that it is over. A group of reporters mentions her dismissal to the Justice League regarding the Thanagarian invasion. Green Lantern defends her and informs the crowd that she was never dismissed. The crowds disapprove and shout angrily. They say Shayra is a traitor, and she doesn't deserve it. Shayra thinks she deserves to be treated as a traitor. She walks away disheartened. A lady with her child takes her hand and thanks her for saving them. Their gratefulness brings Shayra a new hope to begin again as they walk away from the crowd. On episode 12, this episode follows a professor from the future Gotham City and his discovery of a time travel suit called the Chronos. He likes traveling back to the past to steal valuable artifacts and displays them in his garage as his prized collections. However, his wife, Enid, is unhappy about how he is not using the suit to gather gold and treasures to make them rich. David Clinton, whose only passion is to collect items, objects Enid and disappears into a time portal. In the present day, Batman and Green Lantern tease each other regarding their love affairs. John denies any tension between him and Shara and asks Batman about his relationship with Wonder Woman. When Batman answers that Wonder Woman is only a respected colleague, but he cannot deny the fact that Diana has many admirable traits, she appears behind him and causes him to be conscious. The awkward conversation was interrupted when the security alarm rings. The Watchtower has been breached. The three rushes in to find David stealing Batman's utility belt. David was not supposed to be caught. Fear takes over, and he opens a time travel portal to escape. Batman, Wonder Woman, and Green Lantern also enter the portal. They end up in a wide desert somewhere in the west where a trio of armed horsemen extorts them some money. After winning against the horsemen, Batman sees a newspaper. They are in Elkhorn, Oklahoma, in the year 1879. They put on cowboy clothes and head toward the nearest town. They enter a saloon where they see four men playing poker sitting around one table. One of them is Tobias Manning, the new sheriff. After losing a hand, Manning forces his opponent to jail using an advanced weapon from the future. The League members agree to save the man who was put in jail, and then look for the thief afterward. They go to free the man. Freed, the man introduces himself as Bartholomew Aloysius Lash, aka Bat Lash. He has one cellmate, a man with long gray hair and a grown-out beard. It was David, the thief, but an older version. David explains that although he arrived first only seconds away from the League, he's been there for 6 months. He explains that Manning stole his suit to gather weapons from the future and seize the town. As they leave, Manning's thugs open fire and trap them inside. The group of some sort of cavalry dressed in Wild West clothes takes down the thugs. They introduce themselves as Ohiosa Smith, El Diablo, and Jonah Hex. Batlash is also among them, who went undercover to investigate Manning. Ohiosa Smith happens to be the former sheriff of Elkhorn, who was thrown out of office by Manning 6 months ago. Manning took over the town and treated the townspeople like his own slaves. The League and the Elkhorn heroes team up and march together toward Manning's headquarters in the desert. On their way, a flying robotic dinosaur flies above them. They have been seen and hints that Manning's army is waiting for their arrival. Advanced military weapons like android exoskeletons, battle tanks, giant robots, and cameras armed with machine guns attack them upon arrival. They easily evade Manning's weapon defenses by taking them down one by one. Manning, left with no choice but to escape, mounts a robotic Pegasus and tries to get away. Ohiosa chases after Manning, and the two engage in a knife fight. A punch knocks Manning down. Ohiosa gets the Chronos suit back. David, who's playing them all along, grabs the Chronos belt and laughs mischievously as he escapes through a time portal. Batman, Wonder Woman, and Green Lantern follow him. They arrive in another place, this time in the future Gotham City. There, a gang of punks called the Jokers, Chucko, Woof, Dee, Ghoul, and Bonk confront them. A few moments later, the future Justice League Unlimited members, Static, Batman 2, and Warhawk arrive. As they contend with the Jokers, Warhawk sees John Stewart and calls him Dad. John freezes in shock as his eyes widened in disbelief. On part 2, the scene continues in the future as the tension between the Jokers and the League grows. Batman 2, Akateri, encourages everyone to leave, but before they can do so, Ghoul throws his jack-o'-lantern into the air and releases small explosives that can penetrate Green Lantern's shield. They split up, and each League member deals with one of the Jokers. Chucko's energy saber affects Wonder Woman and makes her stumble backward as she blocks his attacks. Dee takes on Green Lantern. She multiplies herself each with an energy whip that can slash onto Green Lantern's defenses. Terry saves Green Lantern, but Dee catches him and restrains him with the whip. The fight continues as Warhawk defends himself against Woof and Static against Bonk. Terry convinces them to retreat and head to the ruins of Hamilton Hill High School, the current headquarters of the League. Warhawk introduces himself as Rex Stewart, John Stewart's son with Shara. The aged Bruce Wayne appears and meets the young Bruce Wayne from the past. The future League members explain that David Clinton is now the Time Lord, Chronos, who steals technology from the future to make the whole city his kingdom. The Watchtower and Batcave are destroyed years ago. Now that the future Bruce Wayne is still alive, and the past is also there, Static positively hopes they will win against Chronos. But the future Bruce has no memory of traveling through time, and suggests that the time now is fluid. In Chronos' lair, Chronos shows them a time window where Chucko accepts a bribe from Terry to spill the information regarding the arrival of the Justice League. He punishes Chucko by sending him to the time of the dinosaurs just before a meteor hits the Earth. He orders the Jokers to find the League. David, who only wants Enid to love him, becomes Chronos, who now coldly ignores her and declines her request to free her mother from the Thing. In the League's headquarters, Batman informs them about the program he made to disable the timing belt. However, they need to find Chronos first. But as a result of the damage Chronos has inflicted on the space-time continuum, Wonder Woman slowly disappears as she speaks, which suggests that the time from the past has been altered. The League members proceed to find Chronos by tricking Ghoul into thinking he found Batman. The older Bruce interrogates him, and later on, Ghoul tells them what he knows about Chronos. Although he doesn't know where Chronos is as he constantly moves around, he definitely knows where Enid is. Enid stays in a pyramid with robotic Egyptian servants. The League finds her, but John Stewart glitches and disappears. Hal Jordan replaces him, who at that time knows what is happening. Hal Jordan encourages Enid to tell them where Chronos is. Enid tells them that although everyone thinks that Chronos doesn't stay in one place, he in fact always sleeps in Elkhorn City Jail, which he kept hidden inside the Coliseum. Hal Jordan scans the entrance but later fades away. John Stewart appears back in. The League quietly enters, and there lies Chronos on a bunk, sleeping like a child. Enid angrily pulls on his blanket, which causes him to wake up. He immediately summons the Jokers and escapes through a time portal. The city jail rumbles to pieces due to the fight between the Jokers and the League members. Static chases after Woof when a sudden time portal appears and absorbs him. A group of confused soldiers appears when another time shift occurs. They think they are monsters and start shooting at Terry. Dee Dee captures Terry and electrocutes him while the old Bruce watches as his successor screams in pain. The intense fight continues and a time-traveling elephant also appears. Chronos blames Enid for the things he has done as he did those for her. Batman and Green Lantern plead to Chronos and asks him to look around at what's happening. But Chronos doesn't listen and proceeds to enter a time portal again as he screams Enid will love him next time. Batman and Green Lantern also enter the portal leading to the beginning of time where Chronos can rewrite history and become a god himself. As Chronos rushes to get to the beginning, Green Lantern restrains both of his hands while Batman inserts the program disc into his belt. Batman uploads the debugging program as they head straight toward the hand of time. The screen went black. Batman and Green Lantern are now back at the cafeteria. Only they can remember what happened. Green Lantern asks Batman about Chronos and Batman answers smiling how he reprogrammed the belt to make sure that Chronos would not come to exist. The scene then shifts to the future Gotham City in the garage of the Clintons. Enid scolds her husband David the same as before, but this time, David only jumps back in time seconds ago just when Enid begins to scold him. The screen zooms out as David gets stuck in his wife's angry lectures about his time belt over and over again.